Greetings, my name is Pindile Yapi and welcome to my channel. And thank you for stopping by. Um, Today I have been thinking and I have named our talk around just a theme that says uncovering the mask. Uncovering the mask. It derives from a place where I just felt I needed to be vulnerable with God. And after doing that exercise, I felt very light. It was as if something on my shoulders, a burden in my shoulders has been taken off. And so please, I'm pleading with you, allow me to be vulnerable with you as well. And being vulnerable with God, uncovering the mask, actually, for me, says coming to God as naked as you can be, coming to God as honest as you can be, with just pouring your heart out. Oh, I'm hoping that's what I'll be doing by sharing my testimony. And I also believe that by just sharing your story, it is another way, another means of touching someone who has gone through the same experience, who will be going through the same experience, to actually give hope, to strengthen someone, and to show them that with God it is possible. My testimony is around an ordeal of me having to lose and bury my 35 weeks son, whom we were expecting as a family. It was not an easy journey, so I'll just try and open up and hopefully not to lose anyone. It all started by having this beautiful two baby showers. One was actually done at work by my colleagues, and it was nice. And the second one was done by my close friends, my church family, and my family. It was actually a surprise baby shower, and what really was I took home was a beautiful cake, the warmth and the love, the beautiful gifts. The cake was written my son's name, because at that time, at 8 months, we had already given the baby a name, and his name was Hlalomi, meaning God's love remains standing. Hlala uthando lukaThixo luhleli lumi ngamaxesha onke. And the cake had 2 tiers. It was written Prince Hlalomi, and it had a golden crown on top. Hlala umi, uthando lukaThixo luhleli lumi ngamaxesha onke. And the warmth and the love I received that day was overwhelming. I remember going back home, having to open each and every gift. It was beautiful. And I think just 2 days after the baby shower, I was woken up early hours of the morning by a sharp pain in my back. And at that time, I did not know what the sharp pain had meant, or I just assumed it was labor pains. I remember rushing to my younger sister's room and asking her to please grab the baby bag we had prepared for the hospital. Rushing to hospital. On arrival at the hospital, there was, in fact, on our way, there was something that happened. My vision was deteriorating. It was as if I'm going further and further away from reality. On arrival, I could barely see properly. Everything was blurred. I was rushed into the emergency room. You know, for the pregnant women, the first thing they do, they want to monitor the baby with that big belt. And when the nurse did that and put on the belt, I was in too much pain. I didn't notice anything at that time until the doctor arrived and came in, did the monitoring, and told me that I'm sorry, the baby's heartbeat is not there, meaning that we have lost the baby. What has happened to you is what they call a placenta abrupta, and you're bleeding inside. In normal cases, in a placenta abrupta, a woman bleeds and the blood comes out. In my case, the blood was just doing a volcano inside, and that called for an emergency C-section. And I remember in that room praying to God that a miracle in theater, maybe if they happen to beat my child, he would wake up, because I called upon the Lord knowing and with confidence and with so much hope, because he has never failed me before. I knew that. And with all the preparations, it was like everything was happening so fast. The next minute I'm in theater. The next minute they've taken the baby out. And while I was still processing that, the nurse comes in and asks, would you like to hold the baby? And for me, was also a moment where I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And the nurse came into the room and gave me my boy. He was so big. He was so handsome. I remember looking at his huge face and thinking he was going to be so handsome. He was going to make such a beautiful boy. And they asked if they can take photos and print out the photos of the little feet, and if I needed more time with him. I remember holding him. He was still so warm. It was as if he would just open up his eyes and cry, or say, "Hey, mama," or do something. He felt so alive, and yet I was told otherwise. And for me, my faith has taken a deep knock, and God seemed silent. At that time, he seemed silent. And there I was in the recovery room, having to be rushed to check if everything else was okay in my body. That short-lived moment of me and my son was sadly the only moments I have of him even today. But what everyone in the hospital, doctors and nurses, was shocked about was the fact that I survived. Number two, it was the fact that the speedy recovery was shocking. And for me, that was God saying to me, I'm there. God saying to me every moment, I'm here, because not many women survive a placenta rupture. When I went to asking in details about it, it happens to a small percentage of women experience a placenta rupture, and those women who have experienced it barely make it alive. So for me, that is a testimony that God allowed me to live. Yes, my son did not, but I'm here to tell the story that through a placenta rupture, I'm a survivor, and that God really lives. And it reminded me of the journey of the Israelites when Moses asked God that if your presence is not with us, then don't allow us to go further. I find myself asking God the same question, that why allow me to carry for almost a full term, that was a full baby, and allow my baby to die. And the only comfort I could find was in God, and the fact that it was revealed to me that the battle is spiritual, and for that journey God won, because I'm alive. Me coming out alive was a blessing, a testimony I'm running with, and I'm grateful to God for. And I remember being told that the doctors had already called in my family to actually tell them to expect anything to happen. And for me, the words that said every time when someone delivers, the words that says both the mother and the baby are fine, had meant a lot, because that's when I realized how deep that message is. And there was very little hope of me surviving the situation. And with God, what the devil has set to destroy us, God allows us to come out of it and even stronger. Having said that, I would like us to just take a quick look to the Bible, the book of 2 Kings. The chapter is 6, where the king of Syria kept on fighting the Israelites and losing, and was actually wondering why. It was as if the king of Israel would know what he had spoken, even in his bedroom. He would defeat him every time. And one of his soldiers told the king of Syria that no, actually, the Israelites win because they have a prophet amongst them. And from verse 12, we see where they managed to identify Elisha. Going down, they found that he resides in Dothan, and the king of Syria wanted him to be taken into captivity because of his wisdom as a prophet. And then I'm just going to read it from verse 13. And he say, go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. They're speaking of Elisha, the prophet. Therefore he sent, now the king of Syria, thither horses and chariots and great hosts. And they came by night and compassed the city about, which means that they had placed their great horses around Elisha's city. And the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth. Behold, a host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant, Elisha's servant, said unto him, Master, how shall we do? And he answered, Elisha answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. And I find God's humor in this story, because he Elisha does not even bother explaining to his servant when he was scared, saying, Master, everyone, I see great chariots and horses. He did not explain to him. He just prayed that his eyes may be opened. And upon his eyes opening, he saw that God's chariots of fire had encompassed around. That is where I... And putting myself and what I had gone through, I see myself as a servant in this situation where I'm the one who was asking God, do you see what has just had happened? And I see God saying, just praying and saying, just open his eyes. I'm praying to someone at home. I'm praying that may God open your eyes and you may see that greater are the chariots of God than those of the enemy. That you may see that he that is with us is more powerful. I pray for someone at home who had gone to hospital and came back without a baby. That may the angel of the Lord goes and encompass you and give you strength. I pray for families that were expecting both the mother and the baby at home and were told news that both did not make it. At this moment, I pray for someone who has not just lost the baby, but someone has just maybe lost the mother, a family member, that may God give you hope. May God open your eyes that you may see that even now, what you're going through, He's present, that God is omnipotent, and may He brings you bright days and restful night. May God of heaven touch and heal everyone who has gone through. In Jesus' name I pray. And thank you once more for stopping by, and remember to like and subscribe. Thanks.